We're going to do something a little bit different this evening. Instead of a usual routine of services, and if you have never been here, you won't know what to expect. But if you've been here for any length of time, we're going to try something a little bit different that would get us out of that routine, that mundane practice that we have in life. So what we'd like to do is offer you time to reflect, to pause, to take a moment out of your crazy week or life, and really to offer you moments of contemplation, moments of deep, deep, quiet reflection. So we'll have a few different things just so you know what to expect and know how to sort of prepare yourself for what you're getting yourself into. We want to invite you first to participate as you feel comfortable. We'll have music, communion, prayer, some guided prayer, lighting of candles. We'll have some different practices. First and foremost, I just want you to know you are invited to partake and participate as you are comfortable. Nothing is required. Nothing is forced. I also want to encourage you to bring your full, authentic self to this evening. So we can sometimes get lost in our minds of how our week is going and how we're feeling and thinking. And so what I want you to do is pay attention to that, actually. If you're getting lost in the thinking and feeling, what are you thinking about? What are you feeling? And bring that to the table tonight. Bring your full self tonight. So wherever you are, whatever you're feeling, whatever you're thinking, wherever your faith is, if you're not even quite sure about some of the things we're doing tonight, even that, take notice of that. And may this be a time of rest. May this be a time of healing and togetherness as we pursue not only connectivity with each other, but with the divine. If you're feeling like maybe you've been left behind or you feel like you're someone that has been overlooked or forgotten or left out, may you find a belonging, a sense of deep belonging, more than just in this place, but deep within your heart. May you know it to be true. Do we have any kids in the building tonight? We have a couple? Yeah? Okay. I need all the kiddos and kids at heart, because I know we have a few of those, to come up here. You can come up here. I'm not going to do anything crazy. We're just going to do a little story time. Okay, we got a couple. Yeah. Awesome. Y'all want to give our kids a hand? Woo-woo! Okay. Awesome. There they come. All right. Do you guys want to go ahead and just take a seat right here real quick? Okay. Yeah, actually, you can face me. We're going to tell a little story. Here, I'll get down here. Then that way it feels a little more communal. Okay. How many kids at heart do we have? You don't have to come up here, but a lot of you. The rest of you might need a vacation, might need to relax a little. Okay, so when I was a kid, I'm going to tell you a bit of a story. When I was a kid, there was a saying that went like this. I don't know if you've ever heard it. It went, sticks and stones may break my bones. You've heard it? But words will never hurt me. You've heard it? Have you heard it? Never. This one's like, you've heard it? Okay. So there's this phrase that says, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Do you have any idea what that phrase means? Okay, go for it. Right on.
It sort of does hurt.
That was right on. Matter of fact, Brad, do you mind if I'm actually going to use the guest mic a little too, because I want you all to hear these answers. They're fantastic. So what we had in that was you were summarizing that, basically, that if someone punched you
or threw a stone at you, then it would definitely hurt. But if someone called you a name, it wouldn't hurt, at least physically.
You hit the nail on the head. So, in other words, if someone punched you or did something else, it would hurt you, right? Have you ever been punched? Maybe by a brother, sister, a friend. Have you ever punched someone? Yeah. We got a couple honest people. The rest of you, right? Yes. Okay. so it hurts, right? You're like, ow, why did you do that? Like, that hurts, but words won't hurt. Okay, so this is a heart. This is going to represent our human heart. It doesn't actually look like a human heart. That's not what they look like. But, okay, so this is a heart. Now, what happens when someone says something that was mean or hurtful? Yeah? What did someone say to you? You forgot, but you remember it hurt? Okay, so they were mean and it said something and it hurt. What about you? We're all getting real angry right now. You too? Is that what they said? What else? Do we have any other thoughts? Stupid and what else?
Are you folding the heart?
Why are you folding on the heart? Great questions.
Is it supposed to represent the hurt?
Oh, she said, is it supposed to represent the hurting? Wisdom, my dear. Yes. What else? Anything else? What about you adults? Anyone ever say anything that's been painful or hurtful? Yeah? You don't have to shout them out. They're probably inappropriate. Okay, so they hurt, right? Maybe someone didn't invite you to play with them. That hurts, right? Have you ever had that happen? Yes.
Or when someone doesn't invite me to a birthday party.
Someone doesn't invite you to a birthday party. That hurts me too.
Explain that they can only invite a few people. Then, yeah.
Okay, so feeling left out, right? Feeling excluded. Yep. I think there's a lot of people in America right now that feel that same feeling. Yep. Okay. Anything else?
You finished folding.
I did. I could keep folding. Okay, so this doesn't look, what does this look like now?
A stone.
A stone? Huh.
A pentagon.
A pentagon. Love this. I love this. Yeah, so it doesn't look, what does it not look like anymore? It doesn't look like a heart anymore, right?
It's like a broke.
It's broken. You said it represents the hurt. Okay, now, has anyone ever had anything that someone said that was really nice or kind or made you feel good? What would that be? Do you have any ideas? Maybe what someone did that just made you really feel special or you felt like that was nice? What about you?
I think of Starbucks and
Okay, so once at Starbucks, someone paid for her and her mom's coffee. That's actually very nice.
one time, today actually, we paid for the person behind us.
Oh, and so they paid it forward. Now today they did the same thing and they did that to somebody else. Okay, yes, Ruby, go ahead.
Well, a long time ago, so we were at just Bosa Donuts and
They were at Bosa Donuts.
we got an extra mini donut.
And they got an extra mini donut.
Donut.
That makes my heart real happy. Yeah, anybody with me? If you're gluten-free, you're probably not, but otherwise. Okay, yes, Jack.
People fighting back for me.
People fighting back for you. So if someone was hurting you, someone standing up for you. That does make you feel really good, doesn't it?
Somebody stood up for me too.
Someone stood up for you too? All right. Anything else? Yeah, what's up, Henry?
Someone hugged me.
Someone hugged you. That makes all the heart swells right now. Everybody's just melting. What else? I've got two more. Yay.
My family kisses me.
Her family kisses her.
And my cat sit in my lap.
And her cat sit in her lap. Okay, life is just really great for you, Ruby. Okay, what do we have now?
A heart again.
A heart. What does it look like, though? It's a heart, but what happened to it now? Like, describe it. It doesn't have to be, yeah.
It looks like the cracks healed in the heart.
It looks like the cracks healed in the heart. Okay.
Thank you. It looks creased
It-
and like scarred if it were an actual heart.
Yep, it looks creased and scarred as if it was an actual heart. I don't even need to preach ever, y'all. This is good.
An actual heart would be scarred, and since it's a piece of paper, it's just
Yep. Yeah. Yep, so it's creased. Anything else? Yeah. You just like raising your hand. We don't mind. We'll include you. I'll just keep asking yes. Okay. So you can see that the heart healed, right? So it's no longer the mess that it was. The heart healed, right? Yes. Is this a routine we've got going on? It's really entertaining. I like it. You don't know? You keep forgetting? It happens to me all the time, Jack. It's okay. Okay, so the heart is now healed, right? Yeah. Right? But we can see what you said were creases, right? So that'd be like scars, right? So if this was our actual heart and people said mean things, it's scars, right? So what do you think this means? What do you think this means that the words actually do to us?
Hurt you.
They do hurt you, right?
Physically.
Not physically, but inside. That's right. So that phrase that we hear sometimes, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me, that's not really true, right? Words do hurt. They really, really do hurt. So I think this is a really great lesson that we should be kind in how we speak to others. Here's a lesson I was taught once, to think before you speak. Is that really hard to do? Think before you speak. Good job, Jack. It's always hard for you. I believe it, buddy. It's hard. So we should learn to think before we speak, because sometimes this is what happens to someone's heart after we say mean and hurtful things. Yeah? What are we going to do? What are we going to try to do from now on? Yes. Be kind. All right. Thank you, kids. You can head back to your seats. Can we give them a hand?
One thing to say. My school has these posters that say, be kind, and then it has like things, be encourageful and all that.
I love that. She's just going to stay up here for a while. I love that. It is something that, simple, cheesy, but I think we forget, even as adults, we forget how deep and cutting those words can be. And it's interesting to hear that phrase growing up and how that's been kind of conditioned in us that, I'll just let that roll. I'll let that slide. But it does. It digs in deep. And so there's, I think, a lot of us that have experienced that. And right now, as I mentioned, there's a lot of people in our country, because of all kinds of reasons, that are feeling the same thing. So thank you, kids. I appreciate it. You can carry on in color. Parents, thank you for letting me borrow them. They're entertaining. I want to do a couple quick announcements. We're going to switch things up a bit. I want to do a couple quick announcements before we switch into the next portion of tonight. First, if you weren't here last week, we had a big announcement, and I want to give that just a quick recap if you missed it. One Church is a nonprofit. We're a 501c3, and something that we don't mention often and we need to mention more is it requires and depends on people like you. Not only your help just showing up and doing things, but your financial contributions. We are in a critical point right now in the history of this community where we are desperate for, I hate to use the word desperate, that sounds so negative, but it's urgent, let's say. It's urgent that we receive financial support. And so I want to make that a call to action, that we are trying to do what we can to make it easier for you to donate. We before used PayPal, and that got a little clunky with some things. And so we have an app called Tithely. And it's more than just giving. So I noticed some of you have downloaded it to use for giving, but I also want to bring it to your attention that the Tithely app, if you want, and if you have a phone, a smartphone of any kind, I want to encourage you to download it anyway, because the app actually has not only giving capabilities, but it has all of the messages every single week. We're working on building the calendar of events, so it will have all of the upcoming events. Great way to stay in touch. There's a place that you can write prayers or a request for something. You can also have your Bible if you want to read scripture online. You can also have different quotes and notes and things like that. So it has a lot. If you think about it this way, it's our giving app, but it's actually, we're going to be moving in a way that this is going to be the central way to kind of communicate and stay in touch, in addition to our Facebook group and all of that. We want to have this where it's all of the resources in one. So download the Tithely app. That would be helpful. And then you can search for One Church, and you can go ahead and click Give to start. But we also have online giving, and then we also have text to give. So if you're somebody that just wants to do a quick text, you can text to 480-900-1824. And I mentioned this last week, but talking about money can be challenging, and it can sort of feel, what's weird is if we were the Red Cross, it wouldn't feel weird. But because it's wrapped up in faith and religion, sometimes it can have this bad taste in people's mouths, because we've seen the ways in which money and religion has gone wrong. And we want you to know that we honor and respect and take care of your money diligently. It's our goal to build, improve, and grow this community. So thank you for that support. Second announcement is right after the service, there will be a meeting for one groups. And Sierra and Kayla are leading it up. It's 30 and under, is that correct? Ish. We're trying to reach sort of like that college, young adult, young professional, 18 to 30-ish age range. Sorry for those of us that aren't in that age group anymore, but but it's vital and it's important. It's a thriving ministry that we have here. So there's a meeting right after, right around 6:30. There's going to be food, and they're going to fill you all in about what this process is going to look like going forward, how you can get involved, how you can help, all of that jazz. Anything else you want to add? Okay, so stick around for that if you'd like. I'm going to trip and try not to knock over candles. But let's go ahead and switch gears for a minute, now that we've got some of the, what I would call housekeeping out of the way. Tonight, I felt like in the midst of life's busyness and chaos that maybe it would be helpful to have a moment of stillness. Something that we don't do often. We have a lot of, we're heavily programmed in our own lives and in America. Heavily programmed at scheduling and conferences and this, that, and the other. And these ancient practices of meditation, of mindfulness, of prayer, contemplation, stillness, they're increasingly on the rise. We see them all over the map. It doesn't matter what faith tradition you are. They're popping up faster than we know what to do with. And I believe it's truly because of our intrinsic desire to be present and to be connected with each other and to be connected with the divine. And the more we get crowded with this busyness, I think we lose that sense of self and that sense of connectivity. So I don't know about you, but for me, that's what happens in these crazy moments of life. I lose a sense of self. And I can start to just get lost in work or the things that I'm doing. And I start to feel a little bit untethered, if you will. And I know some of you know what I'm talking about. You can feel a little bit unbalanced, like life is chaotic and just swirling all around you. And it doesn't even have to be negative things. It's just the busyness. Matter of fact, one of the things that I think we'll hear often is when you ask someone how they are, the first answer most people say is, everybody says fine. Busy, that too. Yep. And it's very kind of surface, shallow, I'm fine, and I'm busy. We wear the word busy like a badge now. And that's this badge of honor. Look at all the things that I'm doing. I'm busy. But if we're not careful and we don't manage or balance that busy, we can really become unhealthy. We can lose who we are, lose our God-given identity. And so I can feel like there's some of us where we have these moments where we can feel like we're spiraling and we're sort of looking for a sense of grounding and firm footing. More often than not, for me, it's not an intense, supernatural moment that brings me back to an awareness of self and God. But really, if I'm honest, it's the simple routines in life. It really is for me. And granted, those big moments are impactful, but sometimes it's the really simple things that remind me of my God-given identity and remind me of the divine's presence. For me, it's my simple morning routine of a cup of tea. And this is kind of what I try to do every morning is I have a cup of tea and I sit on my back porch if the weather permits and I ponder for a minute and I'm quiet and I'll read a good book. And it's silly and it's cheesy, but it's the thing I do that it has me centered. I sit there and I have this moment of connecting with Spirit and I hear the birds chirping in the background. And it's those birds, those simple, quiet birds that just make me go, oh yeah, the divine is everywhere and in all things. And it really keeps me centered. But if I have a moment like this week where I felt like I worked probably 60 hours a week, I don't have those moments and I can feel it. And those moments start to make me feel a little bit unsure or start to make me feel a little bit unfocused or that wears on you, right? It wears on your spirit. And it's these moments that just genuinely, these connecting moments that remind us of who we are. I'm currently taking a class on St. Francis of Assisi. Anybody read up a little bit on good old St. Francis? So he's a saint that has a really, really rich history that I'd like to dive into in the future at One Church. But he's this saint who is known for things like having the birds land on his shoulder. He's a saint for being known to finding the divine among the birds and the animals and the air and the sun and the moon and the stars. And he has this heart that just sees the divine in all things. And it's like he's tapped into this secret that God is all around us, if only we are to pay attention. And I love that about his way and his practice. It's sort of like this simple way of knowing, hey, I'm right around you, but you have to pay attention. Another Franciscan saint named Bonaventure shares these thoughts. God is the one whose center is everywhere and whose circumference is nowhere. In other words, it's all sacred. I love that. So God is the one whose center is everywhere and whose circumference is nowhere. You get this idea that this thing, this word, this being, this presence that we're calling God is so large and so vast. And then we get this idea that if the circumference is nowhere but the center is everywhere, then everyone's in it, all things. And so sometimes the sacred and the divine, they get lost in the shuffle, as I was mentioning. They get lost in the shuffle. We have work and kids and long commutes and soccer practice and band practice and failed relationships and mortgage payments, school, term papers, illnesses, unemployment, meetings, appointments, deadlines, schedules. How many are feeling a little anxious just hearing all the things? And it can get lost. Life keeps churning and hurling a million miles an hour, and sometimes we don't make enough time to just stop for a minute, even if it's just 3 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes during your lunch break, a couple minutes before bed, just to pause and stop and take a breath long enough to notice the sacred all around us. And sometimes it's far too easy, and I know I'm not alone in this statement, it's far too easy to fill those quiet moments we could have with things like Netflix, cell phones, and a good beer. Anybody with me? And while I'm a firm believer in Netflix, what's that one? It's the generic version. Netflix. I'm a firm believer in Netflix and cell phones and a good drink, a good adult beverage, but I do realize that there are times when those can be our easy form of escapism. There are times when those things can be the things that rob and steal the quiet contemplative moments that we could have. And so it's sort of learning the balance of entertainment and also rest and silence and nurturing your soul. And it's hard to do as a human. It's hard to do as a human sometimes. So we can get busy with a constant social life. And we have this never-ending calendar, never-ending appointments. If you're into online gaming, whatever the thing is you do, or you become a workaholic, and all these things vie for our time, which is a precious gift. And so I want to ask, are we able to pause long enough to catch a breath? Are we able to stop and reflect in a moment of silence And are we able to stop and recognize that all around us is sacred? Over the past few months, we've talked about stepping into newness. And we focused a lot on Jesus' parable in the Gospels of this old wineskin and this new wine. But something that was drawn to my awareness and attention through this whole process and this whole last couple months as we processed this is that when we're facing these moments and these seasons of newness, life can be disorienting. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? Even if it's a good newness, you have this newness that's kind of butting up against old, and you can feel disoriented. Like, wait a minute, where do I go from here? And we try to figure out how to move into this new season. No matter what that season is, we try to figure out how, as we still have one foot in the old. But I think cultivating a strong sense of discernment can help you during those times. Now, discernment was a word, how many grew up hearing that in the church? So discernment, whether you've heard it in church or you haven't, the word discern simply means to perceive or recognize something. That's what this means. Having this discernment means you recognize, you've observed, but it's an observation and it's a noticing of something. But it can be difficult, if we're honest, to observe and to notice when we don't even take time to pause and reflect, right? It's hard to take a notice and to take an awareness when we're just busy doing this. And so as we move through the rest of the service, offer yourself moments to think. Offer yourself moments to feel about where you're at in the season of life, good, bad, ugly, indifferent. Take notice of it. Because I think that's this process of awareness, that's this process of discerning, is where are you at? And if you are the type that likes to journal, or you've got your phone or a notepad, write it down. I encourage you also to do that. Write it down, because if you write and journal where you're at, it gives you something to look back and reflect on where you're at. Throughout the week, you can kind of draw an awareness to this. What am I thinking? What am I feeling? And so if the musicians could come back up at this time, we'll have a few different moments of reflection. And I just want to invite you into that space of noticing that if something doesn't resound with you, pay attention and notice and ask yourself why. If something is deeply speaking to you and moving you, pay attention to that. Notice that. If your mind is wandering and you're thinking about the busyness of life, that's okay too, and pay attention to that and notice that. But I want to encourage you to try to allow yourself to be here now. And I want to leave you with this. It's a reading of Psalms 132. There's a book I want to recommend, by the way, if you're someone that sort of likes praying through Scripture or praying through the Psalms. This author, Nancy Merrill, wrote a book called Psalms for Praying, An Invitation into Wholeness. I'll put this up online, but it's Psalms for Praying, An Invitation into Wholeness. And what Nan does is takes all of the Psalms and she rewrites it in a more modern, contemplative way that we can understand and relate to. And they're beautiful. They're beautiful because some of them, they were already pretty beautiful to begin with, if we're honest. But then you pick this up and you go, that speaks to me. So I want to read Psalms 132. It says, "Enter into the silence, into the heart of truth. For herein lies the great mystery. Where life is ever unfolding, herein the divine plan is made known, the plan all are invited to serve. Listen for the music of the spheres in the resounding silence of the universe. May balance and harmony be your aim as you are drawn into the heart of love. Those who follow the way of love with calm and faith-filled intent know that all is working toward healing and wholeness. And may the healing power of love lift you from the limitations of fear and ignorance into the arms of freedom. May the peace of the Spirit bless you and lead you on life's journey. Be not afraid of the silence, for wisdom's voice is heard here." Let me say that again. Be not afraid of the silence, for wisdom's voice is heard there. As you follow the light, you become gentle and kind. You come to live in the light and you see through love's eyes. Children enter the world radiating the Spirit. Learn from them the innocence and simplicity. Learn to cooperate with the unseen realms to see beyond the veil. Wise are those who learn through the silence, learn to listen well. For beyond the silence and the stillness within, you will come to know a profound and dazzling silence. Herein lies the music of the spheres, the harmony of creation. Enter into the sacred altar within. Converse with the beloved in sweet communion. Blessings of the great silence be with you as you help to rebuild the heart with the world of love.
"500 years ago, Saint Ignatius designed a spiritual practice called the prayer of the Examen. The Examen is a prayer that focuses on the divine presence in the world. It's a way to approach prayer with mindfulness and gratitude. This can help us connect with the divine in real ways, not some out in the heaven, kind of up there, ethereal way. The divine is present in the transcendental moments, but also in the small daily moments. The cooking dinner, the commuting to work, spending time with your family and your friends. Nothing is so trivial that it is meaningless. What's consuming your thoughts as you're stuck in traffic? What's your frame of mind as you find yourself wandering through the grocery store? If prayer is making an intentional connection with God, then it makes sense to spend time finding the divine moments in our daily routine of life. I'm going to lead you through an engaged journey of the Examen prayer. This way works for me, but I encourage you to reframe it to fit your own spiritual practice. If you don't resound with prayer, then maybe take this time to make space for the stillness of your soul. I invite you to settle into your seat, into the rhythm of your breath. You can close your eyes or just soften your gaze. As you become more comfortable, take notice of your body. Together, let's take a deep breath in. Inhaling the newness of tomorrow and exhaling the weight of today. As we enter into a place of gratitude and reflection, I encourage you to visualize your day. What brought you joy today? Was it the smile on your child's face or the embrace of a friend? What made you feel stressed today? Where did you encounter love? Did you struggle with sadness or pain? Can you remember the colors of the morning sky? Who made you happy? Reflecting on your day, where did you encounter the divine spirit? I invite you to imagine you're in the warmth of the great love's fully encompassing presence. Give thanks for that love. Place yourself in the eyes of the divine, watching as you move throughout this world. Behold the fierce love that is there for you. Give thanks for this love. As you've seen God within your day, where were the moments that you didn't bring your true self? Moments you fell short of offering love to yourself or to another? It's okay to embrace the growth and expansion of your humanity. Reflect on it, learn from it, and let it go. Give thanks for grace, and give yourself permission to have grace. With gratitude, we integrate the lessons of today, the beauty we encountered, and the mystery of tomorrow. Moving forward, how can you begin to co-create with the divine? Be engaged and mindful of the love that is all around, in the little moments and the big. To know yourself is to know God. To see the divine is to see your true identity. Let's take another deep inhale together. We are thankful for the love we find here with one another. We are thankful for the breath of life. Together we pray. Amen.
I hope today touched your heart. That this gave you an opportunity to connect with something greater than ourselves. This was a space where I felt we could definitely do that. And this is not something to just be just now, but something that we can take into our daily lives. Things were mentioned earlier, little moments that we have that we can see the divine around us, where we can experience love. Who would like to just throw out for you this week, what were something that you experienced that gave you a sense of the divine? Something simple. Wow. Sometimes family's not always easy to do that with. That's great. Anyone else? What about a sense of love, where you just felt, okay, that there was a sense of love greater than you accepted? That's great. It's good too when they're older and they want to do that too. You know, it's. So remember this throughout the week. Be mindful of little moments. I know it can be frustrating. We can get so much caught up into the busyness of life. Driving on Arizona highways, all the stuff you have to deal with at work, you know, and you just kind of get all frazzled and taken away by that. But we need to take time to just get quiet. Stillness is not an enemy. I think we can do so much. I know for myself, I love music, so it's like I get in the car, bam, music's on and loud. You know, that's how I deal with the Arizona highways. But what if I turned it off and just drove without anything? And just allowed for that space. I've done it a few times, but it's like, then I miss my music. But there have been instances where I've gotten into the last couple of years a daily meditation. And that's a time of stillness, where you can just kind of quiet. And the brain sometimes can be so active and still want to just think on different things. But the whole idea behind it is to just come back to the stillness. Get connected to your breath, which is something that's constant, something that you can kind of give you a sense of continuity. And I know it's helped me over the last number of years, just by different ways that stuff in life happens and how I've responded to them. Some of these practices, the examine, is something that can be part of our daily lives. Journaling, I am horrible at it, but I've done it for short bits of time, and I think I need to get back into something like that. So just take the time to be with yourself, connect with the divine, and enjoy what's ahead. Let's now just take a moment to close our time together as we prepare for what's ahead for the rest of the evening. Father, Mother, Son, Creator, so much wrapped in you. Mystery for sure. Yet in a way that you've made yourself known to us. Language we can understand, in ways that we can experience. We thank you for that. We thank you for the love that we can share and experience in a gathering with a community of people that just want to embody love and to try to live it out as best we can. May we carry with us throughout this week these thoughts and these experiences that we've experienced tonight, and help us to take time to re-engage into the quiet, into the stillness, and just connect with you. Thank you for this experience and the opportunity to be here together.